everyone. So today's lesson, uh, we're gonna kind of talk about how to talk about your family and not just your what we call immediate family, right? Immediate is like uh, we can use when we say, as soon as possible. Can you do this immediately? But we also use the word immediate for things that are close to you, things that are right next to you. And we can use that to talk about family because your immediate family are people like your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, just people who you grew up with and you would see all the time. But also we have extended family, right? Extend is the word, right? We can use for like extend your arm. It means to lengthen, to make longer. Um, so when we talk about extended family, it means, talking about family, making it longer. Um, Meaning the family that you maybe saw a lot, but weren't your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. Um, so that's what we're going to talk about today is how to talk about your extended family. Um, so the vocabulary for these lessons, um, there's quite a bit, and you may already know these, but I thought I would just talk about them in case you didn't. So um, one of the ways we talk about extended family is we say great grandmother or great grandfather. Now, great in English we use to talk about like, oh, that food is great, like it's a good thing. When we talk about great grandmother or great grandfather, you could also say my great grandma or grandpa. It is the family member that is like it's the um like think of your grandma, right? It's their parents, right? So your great grandma is your grandma's mom. Your great grandfather is your grandma's dad. Um, and so when somebody says, oh, my great grandmother or my great grandfather or my great grandma or my great grandpa, um, it's talking about um, just the grandma or grandpa's parents. That's all it is. And then grandma or grandmother or grandpa or grandfather, those are your parents' parents. That's all it is. Um, and then you have father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. So what is this in-law business? What does this mean? So if somebody says, father, mother, brother, or sister, and they add an in-law at the end, that means that that person is related to them by marriage. So when somebody says, "Oh, they're my father-in-law," it means that it's their the person that they married, their spouses, we can call it spouse, your, husband or wife or partner's parent, right? So it's not your mom and dad, but it's your partner's mom or dad. So that means that you can still call them your father or your mother or brother or sister. You just add in law to let people know that they aren't the ones that are related to you um, through genetics by blood, is what we call it. They're not your blood family, meaning um, your father-in-law and mother-in-law, uh, your mother-in-law did not give birth to you. That's all it is. And so they're not related to you through genetics, right? Through because they're not, your actual siblings. So, and when I say actual, it just means like genetics, blood, you know, your parents didn't, you know, give birth to them or have them like with their own body. So the next is stepmother, stepfather, stepbrother, stepsister. So this one, when you use stepmother or stepfather, stepbrother or stepsister, you're talking about a family that married to your family. So if you had a parent that got divorced, or if you had a parent, um, your parents, one of your parents died or left your family, and your parent remarried another person, they would be, your stepmother or your stepfather. And then if they had any kids and got married into your family, they would become your brother and sister. But in English, and in America, we let people know that you don't always have to do this. Some people don't do this, but to let people know that they aren't your blood siblings, you would say, "Oh, they're my stepbrother, my stepsister." Or if your family got married, your parents got remarried, and they had another kid with your stepmom or your stepfather, sometimes we call those siblings, my half brother or my half sister. Some people don't like doing this in America because they feel like when I say that it's just, my stepbrother or my stepsister, then I'm like talking about them like they aren't, really important to me, or I don't love them as much. And so some people will refer to their stepbrother or stepsister or their stepmom or stepdad as their real parent or their brother or sister. They'll just say, "Oh, this is my sister, this is my brother." Um, and we just use stepfather, stepmother, stepbrother, stepsister to kind of explain to people why we may look different from our siblings or our parents, or things like that. But some people choose not to talk about their family this way in English. Okay, so the next thing that we have is aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew, partner, spouse, godmother, godfather, grandparent, and parents. So, aunt is somebody like your mom or your dad's sister. Uncle is your mom or dad's brother. And cousin is the child of your aunt or uncle. So cousin is somebody that your aunt and uncle, they had a baby, that their kid is your cousin. And a niece or nephew is a female child that your brother or sister has. And nephew is the male child of, your brother or sister. Um, in English, uh, we use we talk about family with a lot of gender, right? You'll see like you have a word for a female person that's your parent's sibling, or a male person, or like your male or female child of your brother or sister. So we use gender a lot to talk about this. There isn't really a way to talk about it, about niece or nephew or aunt or uncle. Um, in English to talk without gender, right? So people usually just refer to them as like niece or nephew, aunt or uncle. Or you could, if you didn't want to say niece or nephew or aunt or uncle, you could just say, "Oh, you know, my mom's brother's son, or my mom's brother's kid, child." You know, could be another way to say it. Or my sister's child, if you didn't want to talk about gender in that way. So the word spouse is just the way that we talk about. So you could say, "Oh, this is my spouse." Spouse just means the person that you married, and it talks about it in a way without referring to if they're your wife or your husband. So you could say, "Oh, my spouse and I live together in Provo," right? If you said that, it just means the person that you're married to. So spouse just means person that you're married to. It doesn't tell them if it's a boy, it doesn't tell them if it's a girl, but it does tell them when you use the word spouse, it means that you're legally married. The next one is, oh, partner. I forgot to talk about this one. So partner is used a lot, and especially in other English speaking countries, like New Zealand and places like that, where they don't refer to people as like spouse, because a lot of people will be together as a couple but they won't be married, so people will just refer to them as partners when it's they're committed to each other but they're not legally married, right? They live together, they work together, they have kids together, um and it's kind of a way to talk about it without saying you're married or what gender the other people are. So sometimes people refer to partners even though they are married and they have children together, and they could say spouse or wife or husband, but they choose not to. And some people do this because, somebody could be, like two women could be married, or two women could just be together and have kids and things like that. And it would just be called a partnership. You would refer to them as your partner. So it's usually just an easy way to talk about somebody without telling people if you're married, what gender the person is, that kind of thing. So the next ones I'm going to talk about is godmother and godfather. So a godmother or a godfather, godparents, these are people who aren't related to you, but who um, are allowed to take care of you and help you, even though they're not related to you. They're not your family. A lot of people I know have godparents. They have a godmother or a godfather, and it's usually their mom's best friend or their dad's best friend, someone who's a really good friend to the family. And so they're not related by blood, but they are come to your birthdays, they take care of you, they help you out, they let you stay at their house, things like that. Like that's what a godmother or a godfather is someone who's not related to you. They aren't technically your family, but they act like they're your family. And then parents, that's just the term we use for like a mom or a dad. And parents, like my parents, you're saying, oh, my mom and dad. But you could just say my parent, which it's to let people, it's like a way to talk about your parent without saying mom or dad, without saying what gender they are. So we talked about all of those, and I just wanted to show you in case you were confused. So a great grandma or a great grandpa is the parent of your grandma, right? So great grandma, great grandpa are together and they had a kid, and it's your grandma. And your grandma and grandpa have kids, and it's your aunt and your uncle and your mom. And your mom married your dad, so that's you. And then, or I could say, that's me. And then your aunt married an uncle, or didn't marry an uncle. Your aunt married someone, and that person became your uncle because they married your aunt and they had a kid, so that's your cousin. And then your uncle has a kid, so they're your cousin. Um, and then I also wanted to show you this if you're talking about it like marriage or partnership or something. So say this is me and this is my partner. So I would talk about my partner's parents by saying mother-in-law or father-in-law, and their siblings by saying sister-in-law or brother-in-law. Um, Now if this was my sister-in-law, their child wouldn't be my cousin. It would be my niece or my nephew. And that's how you would talk about it. Um, so, or, if you're talking about a step parent situation, um, you would say, me and my stepmom. So that's that. So the next part, now, you can choose to practice this next part however you want to and however is easiest for you. So if you want to practice your speaking, try answering these questions by talking. If you want to practice your writing, practice by writing on a piece of paper, okay? So I'm just gonna ask questions and you're gonna answer them, okay? So, do you have any aunts or uncles? How many? Do you have cousins? What are they like? Now, remember when I ask, what are they like? I'm asking, are they fun to be around? What kind of person are they? So you need to describe them. Are they fun? Are they nice? Are they mean? Um, Tell me about their personality. Are they do they annoy you? Do they bother you? Or are you best friends with them? Did you grow up with them? What are they like? The next one, this one isn't really a question. I'm just going to ask you to do something. So tell me about your grandparents. How old are they? So when you get these kinds of questions, like, tell me about this, talk to me about this, that's basically um, telling you to say, okay, this is how old they are. They live here. They used to work, but now they retire. So, like, you could tell me, what job did your grandparents do? Where do they live? Are they still alive? Um, what is something that you loved about them? What is a good memory that you have with them? Maybe you don't have a good memory with them. Maybe you did not like them. Maybe they were mean to you. But like, tell me about that. Talk about that. So the next question, do you have any godparents? So do you have any godparents? Do you have a godmother or a godfather? What are they like? Are you married or have a partner? Do you like your in-laws? That's a good question, right? If you like your partner's family, right? If you like your spouse's family. So those are the questions that I have for you. So I figured I would answer some of these questions to show you what you can respond with. So do you have any aunts or uncles? How many? So I have on my dad's side, I have one uncle and I have two cousins on his side. And then on my mom's side, I have lots of aunts and uncles, and all of them except for one are married. So oh, let's see, I have, I have 6 aunts and uncles. Well, I have 5 uncles and 1 aunt, and all of them are married, right? Except for one of my uncles, and all of my uncles and my aunt that are married have kids, so I have a lot of cousins too. My mom is the oldest in her family, so uh, I don't have any cousins that are my age because they were all babies when I was a kid, so they aren't really my age. So I feel like some of my aunts and uncles kind of feel like cousins because they were young when I was young, because my mom comes from a really big family and she was the oldest. So that's why I have an uncle that feels kind of like, a brother or a cousin, more than an uncle, right? So do I have any cousins? Yes, I have lots of cousins. My cousins, some of them are really quiet and like to keep to themselves. And then some of my cousins are really loud and they have lots of opinions and they're really crazy. And some of my cousins are um, kind of shy, like they're really shy. So I have quiet cousins and I have loud cousins. So my grandparents, um, I have some grandparents that live in Wyoming, and I have some grandparents that live in Las Vegas, Nevada. So both I lived right next door to my grandma and my grandpa in Las Vegas growing up. So I lived right next to them, so I saw them all the time. Um, I saw them a lot. And then I didn't see my grandparents that lived in Wyoming a lot, but they did come and visit often when I was a kid. Um, when I was like growing up in an elementary school, they would come and visit on Christmas and in the summer or when something important happened in our family, right? that's when they'd come. So I do not have any godparents. I have there are people in my that my parents they have some friends that I know their family and they feel really close and they feel like family. But because I have so many aunts and uncles, I have had a lot of people take care of me, and so I didn't really need any godparents. Um, are you married or have a partner? So I'm not married, but I have a boyfriend and we've been dating for 3 years. And I don't have in laws really because I'm not married, but I do know his family and I've met them and I like them. He has a sister and a mom and I've met his dad too. And I like them. I think that they're nice and I think they're good. So, I like my in-laws even though I'm not married, but, I like them. So, if you just wanna practice this, practice talking about this, practice writing about this, that'd be great, and whatever works. So, that is it for our